Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankhachakrasidharinam सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम्. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. हरिः ओम्. Namaskar. Welcome to the second part of the three-part presentation on Iyengar Yoga with special focus on back pain. In the first part, I had introduced certain concepts and certain attributes of asana. Asana is not just a posture, but is a particular posture in which there is stillness of the consciousness, stability of the consciousness, a sense of delight or joy. We had also talked about an opposing condition of the consciousness, which is called scattered consciousness or chitta vikshepa. In chitta vikshepa, as opposed to sukha in asana, there is a feeling of dukkha, sadness. In contrast to sthira in asana, there is angamai jayatva, shakiness of the body. Also, there are two other attributes which have been mentioned in the case of chitta vikshepa, the two being, one is a sense of hopelessness, dormanasya, and a sense of shortness or disturbed breathing, which is called swasha praswasha. So putting together these two sutras of Yoga Sutras, we can say that in asana, unlike in chitta vikshepa, there will be a stillness and silence in the breath. Further, we can refer to Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which says that where whatever is the condition of the breath, so is the condition of the mind. Chalevate chalem chittam. So therefore, if the breath is still, you are in that state of asana. Further, we discussed that through willpower, it is not possible to silence or control the breath. To give you an example, if you have a beaker of muddy water and a stirrer, by using the stirrer, you cannot make the mud settle down and the clear water rising to the top. That's not possible. The nature of the stirrer is such that whenever you utilize it, it only disturbs the muddy water further and does not allow the pure water to surface. Similarly, just because you have a willpower, it is like a stirrer. Just by using the willpower, you cannot silence or let the mud settle down. The mud settles down on its own accord when you do not disturb it. In the same manner, the breathing will become silent once the mind becomes silent. So does it mean that if we are not able to silence the mind through volition, the mind cannot be silenced? No, that is not the case. As I have shown in the first part, that by moving the body parts in a certain manner, your breath automatically becomes silent. For example, one of the many tools available to a practitioner of yoga is the use of the position of the shoulder blades and the shoulders. Suppose if you were to raise your shoulders up like I have shown, now observe the breath. The breath will be felt in the nose, in the abdomen, in the chest. The breath will not become silenced. But on the other hand, if I were to observe and move the outer edge of the shoulder here, as pointed out, if I use my arms to gently yet firmly pull the outer edges of the shoulders away from the ears, you will observe the lengthening of the neck and the breath becoming silent. That silence can continue. Your mind will be still. The breath will be still if you are able to sustain that movement of the outer shoulder down towards the elbows away from the ears. But on the other hand, if you were to tilt your trunk slightly, so right now my spine is tilted, as you can see, to one side. When the spine is tilted to one side, whatever movements you make in the shoulders, outer shoulders, so you can try to bring the outer shoulders down, but you will not have success in getting the breath to become still and silent. The quality of the breath still remains the same, irrespective of whether you have pulled the shoulders down or it continues to be lifted as was. So we learn another aspect of this. That is, if the spine is tilted, if the body parts are tilted, there is a certain amount of contortion taking place in the body. And this contortion will not allow the breath to become still. The contortion which you will see is that when I tilt my spine to one side, this part is longer than this part. So there is some kind of contortion which is taking place. In the condition of contortion, whatever effect you may try to get, this breath will not become silent. However, keeping the shoulders moving away from the ears, if you correct that tilt, you will soon get into the state of the breath becoming still. So you will realize that you will get into that state of asana provided there is no contortion in the body. When I say no contortion, it means every part is exactly placed with respect to the other or other side, for example. So if you find the level of the chest on one side, let's say the middle part of the chest, it will be in line with the first side. But if it is contorted, you will find that the level is no longer at the same level, same plane. So that is another lesson. Now the spine becoming being the most central part of the body, you can observe the tilt in one direction on the other, and as long as it is there, your breath will be unruly and your asana will not be reached. And if the asana is not reached, if you sustain a posture, that will create disturbances and can result in the pain. So it is important that in whatever posture you do, you are able to keep the body parts so aligned that there is no contortion and therefore no pain. And at the same time, you are in the state of asana and not in the state of chitta vikshepa. With this understanding, let us try to look at another posture, which is called, popularly known as the downward facing dog pose. The Sanskrit terminology is Adho Mukha Shvanasana. In Adho Mukha Shvanasana, you have to have the stillness of the consciousness, and till such time it happens, you are just in a downward facing dog pose. Now, again, as before, I have to move my outer shoulder far away from the ears. So I start. In this particular condition, my outer shoulder is here and I have to move it away from the ears. So just watch the point here. I see my breath is not steady, but I will move my outer shoulders away from the ears so that I start to experience the stillness of the breath and the stillness of the mind. And I will continue that. And from this no breath condition, I can feel the sense of stillness. With this, we will go to the next posture where you will try to see both the sides of the chest and the trunk are aligned so that when you bring your shoulders away from the ears, you are able to sense the stillness of the breath. And in this manner, you are also ensuring there is no contortion in the spine. So we go into a forward bending pose, which is called Uttana Asana. Now in Uttana Asana, there is a tendency for the shoulders to come closer to the ears. And when this condition is there, if you try to pull your trunk down, you can injure your back because now the contortion is taking place from front and back. Whereas in Adho Mukha Shvanasana, it could have been side to side. Now to bring that state of no contortion, I will start to move my outer shoulders away from the ears, as you see. I start to get a breath-free condition. And when that happens, I know I am having my spine adjusted for healing and not for injury. So this is two poses which I have taken just to show how the body parts can be kept aligned in order to ensure there is no injury in the performance of your any asanas. We will then proceed to Parshwa Konasana, which is one of the standing poses, and there you will see the propensity or potential to disturb one side from the position compared to the other. So in this posture, when we go, what happens is this part of the trunk is having certain shortness, whereas this part, the trunk, is long. And because of that, there is a certain pinch taking place on the right side back, which could result in injury. But in order to avoid this, if I move my shoulders away from the ears, you will see the length taking place on the right side. And with that, once I get the breath free state, I will just keep my arm over the head. This is Parshva Konasana. Observe the length from the armpit of the right to the hip. A wrong position will be like this, where there is shortening. And you can observe my breath, my voice, how it becomes harsh. I will do it on the other side so that it can be seen and understood. When I go into the pose, if I just go, I will sense the breathlessness and you will hear it in my voice. But I will take my shoulders away from the ears. Observe the length from the hip to the shoulder and then come up. That was Parshva Konasana. Again, to keep the spine in line, when I attempt another standing pose called Veerasana 2, popularly called Warrior 2 pose. Now, when I go down, see the shortening of the side of the trunk here and the lengthening. This will cause my breath to become harsh. But I'll move my shoulders, align the spine till the breath becomes quiet. And I'm in Veerasana 2. Then I go to the next. I will do some backward bending posture. Now, I keep my palms close to the waist. and I will come up. Now you may see my shoulders are lifted towards the ears. So this will not be asana. So I will bring my shoulders down. This becomes Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Here again, I am trying to maintain the chest in the front and the back, so that if I were to draw a line from here to here, it will all be parallel. Whereas if this is done, the front will be lower than the back. The lines in the front will be lower than the back. But by doing this, I bring the lines, the front and the back becoming leveled. Then I will make a small change. I will take my palms to the front, as you will see. And from there, I will try to move my shoulders away from the ears, and the pose which emerges is now Bhujangasana. As long as I don't maintain the parallelity of the front and the back, injury can take place. Then I will come down. So in all these postures, whether I am bending backwards, bending to the sides, bending forward, I am making the sides of the chest, front and the back, all as if they are at the same level as they are when I am sitting straight. Then I will go into Ustrasana pose, or called Camel Pose. Again, if I have to notice, and if I were to draw a line from the front to the back at different points, the line between the front and the back should be always at the same level. Whereas if I just push myself like this part is higher than that line at the back. So if I bring my shoulders down, get my breath to become quiet, I know that I am getting my front and back aligned for me to go into Ustrasana. So I have shown very simple backward bending, side bending poses. Now I will show you a forward bending posture. So you will keep one leg straight, the other leg bent. This becomes Janu Shivshasana. Again, I have to see whether this point and this point are always connected. And it's not that this drops down and this goes up. They have to be always connected. So with this, I will proceed, and to get that alignment, I'll keep my shoulders moving away from the ears. That will be Janu Shivshasana. Some of the other postures where you can maintain the position of the spine so that it is neither tilting this way or that way, neither front to the back, neither sideways. So all these poses helps the spine to remain in a neutral state, so there is no injury but wellness. Then we will start with a pose called Baddha Konasana. Now, in Baddha Konasana, there is a tendency that the knees come up. If we try to push them down, there is an undue force acting upon the spine. And when you do this, you'll find that the shoulders go up. That is an indication that you are not in asana, but you are just using your willpower to get into the posture. But see the effect. When I just lower the outer shoulders down, how the breath becomes stable, the mind is stable, and the pose is also stabilized. In this position, one can stay maintaining the alignment. I will release. Another sitting posture is Veerasana. Again, in Veerasana, I have to do whatever is required to get my breath to become still. With this, I will pull my shoulders down firmly, so gently, and sustaining it so that I am in Veerasana. So, I have given a small variety of postures wherein I am using the back, the spine to remain healthy with various movements. And with this, I will end this part. In this part, we covered a few of the asanas which involve backward bending, forward bending, sideward bending, and so on, in order to get the spine to remain agile and steady, so that healing takes place while you are in that asana. In the next part of the series, we will see that if there is some injury due to contortion or some accident, how we can, through our own practice, get that alignment so that we are not suffering from the pain caused by that injury. Namaskar.